I'll tell you this much also. Your mindset should be that you are a learning dentist. When I became a dentist, I thought I was done in 4 years. 20 years down, I'm still, every
Absolutely.
weekend, there's something that I'm either studying with a book and paper properly. Photobiomodulation is also very effective. Make movement faster for orthodontic patients, less painful for the patient. Think that patients will have a better experience. The University of Manchester has the best endodontic master's program in the world. Anything that he had on his dental table, I would buy it.
Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dental News Podcast. Today we have an award-winning surgeon with us. He is the owner and principal dentist of Durrani Dental Clinic, and you've definitely guessed the name right. It's somebody who's sitting at the intersection of clinical excellence as well as cutting-edge technology. Let's welcome Dr. Shoaib Durrani. Thank you so much for taking out the time for
Thank
this,
you very
sir.
much, Dr. Mariam.
It's
a
an
pleasure
honor
to
to
be
have
here.
you.
And I'm very humbled by your introduction.
Absolutely, you deserve all these words.
Very kind.
So, sir, I'm sure that this is going to be one of the podcasts which the reason why I didn't extend on the introduction actually is because as soon as I said Durrani's Dental Clinic, it was pretty clear everybody is logged in by this time, and we have the audience completely seated for the next hour or two.
Good.
So let's talk a little bit about the parts that not everybody knows. Is when did Dr. Shoaib graduate, and what did the early years look like before he had one of the fanciest practices in Karachi?
Well, I basically graduated in 2006. So this is my 20th year into practice. And the first few years, right after graduating, when I became a house officer, so I knew my seniors told me that I have to work really hard in order to succeed. So then I used to work too hard, and I became the best house officer. They gave me the award for it. That was great motivation.
Oh, so
Then-
it's all started from there.
Yeah, then the two head of the departments, they hired me at their clinics while I was doing my house job for the evenings.
Interesting.
So then I started working there. So that was another
You
motivation.
did your house job from Hamdard, is
From
that correct?
Hamdard Dental Hospital.
Right.
And then we had two of our head of the department, they hired me in their clinics. So one was at Water Pump Chaurangi, the other was at Nipa Chaurangi.
Which is so far
Which
from...
is very far from my house, but it was an honor to
One's
work
gotta do what you gotta do.
at
Yeah.
the head of your department. So I
Absolutely.
mean, it was a big honor, and I knew that I'm going to learn a lot. But then I was earning also, so it was overall a good balance of things.
Right.
Then in 2008, I think when the assassination of Benazir happened, then this commute became impossible
Of course.
for a month at least, and clinics were closed. That's when I decided for my entire family that we will never work far from our house, because you can be stranded in the city and
yes, unfortunately.
everybody's going to go through trouble. So then I started looking around where I live, and then I started working at another two practices. Then I used to work from 12 till 10 in the night.
12 p.m.
No, 12 noon
Noon.
till 10.
Yeah.
So those 10 hours were still not enough for me, because I didn't like waking up late and starting the day late. So I wanted to
Okay.
start early. It was spoiling my entire routine. So then I started, I applied to Altamas Institute, and then they hired me as a demonstrator in 2009.
So you were like, I need no free hours
I
in my
need no
day.
free hours. It's absolute.
Right.
Another thing was that some of my seniors told me that it's always better in your earlier years to be associated with a group of senior
professionals,
doctors.
absolutely. That makes
And
sense.
that teaching hospital was where I had to go to learn that. I had
Definitely.
maxed out on what I had to learn from that clinic and the other clinic. So I wanted to learn more. And maybe I was initially in oral anatomy and community dentistry, but that too helped me brush my knowledge about basic sciences. And that helped me understand how dentistry works in the city, because the more people you meet, the more you understand how your career is going to progress.
Right.
So, I mean,
that was, I think, your only experience in proper academics, right? And
Yeah.
after that, you became a proper sole clinician person.
Yeah.
So I want to understand when I was looking at your job.
By the way, I loved being a teacher because my students loved me being a teacher. We were, I mean, almost 2-3 years apart. They were graduating. I had just graduated. So I was teaching people who were almost my age. So we became really good friends, and till date we are very good friends.
Right. We're definitely going to come to that topic as well because, like I mentioned, when we were talking off camera as well, that you are one of the very few clinicians, at least in Karachi, that I know of, that are ready to take a chance on young professionals. So we'll talk about where does the trust come from and how important people like you are to begin with. But anyway, so let's come back to your when you were teaching at Altamash,
Yeah.
right? So when I was looking at your job history, I noticed that you switched clinics pretty fast. Like you were there for a year or maybe 2 years, and then you
Yeah.
switched up. So why was that? Like, how were you deciding that? Okay, like you mentioned, I've maxed out on as much as I could have gained from this practice, and now I got to move on. So like, how did you figure that part
No,
out?
so I joined Altamesh in 2009 and I got out of it in 2017. So that is a good long 7-8 years.
Okay.
And that was my main. I
Right.
worked at South City also for 4 years. The owner moved out, so then I stopped working.
Okay.
That was called off. But I mean, when you reach Dr. Altamesh's clinic, he spoils you with the best materials and the best equipment and the best attitude. He has the best attitude towards patients and hiring people. So I had a great time there. So I mean, because I was in a very good position, I really didn't want to change things much till 2017. So it's not like I've been jumping places that much, huh?
I want to understand, when did you decide that okay, this is the time for me to now join, now open my own clinic? I'm done being an associate. This is the time to shine. There's going to be a Durrani practice in the City of Lights now.
Yes. No, so that was never the plan.
Okay.
All right. So I was very, very happy working at Dr. Altamesh's practice as an associate because I had no bills to pay, I had no people to hire, I had no people to fire, no material purchase, nothing. And I could only concentrate on working. And at that time, it seemed like the perfect thing for me. I mean, I had the best of the worlds. No
Acha.
bills, good money, good patients.
Sahi.
Life is great.
Right.
Then some differences happened, some changes, some plans changed, this, that. And then a lot of my friends, they suggested that it's about time that I start my own practice. So I took a very drastic leap of faith. That was the best decision I could have taken. Because till then, I had never understood how working under somebody's shadow
Right.
does not really expose you and prepares you for your own work. So when I jumped into my own practice was when I started doing things differently. एक होता है ना, वो you're just working in a certain pattern, which was very important for me, for my career. But when I started working on my own, people started recognizing me for my work.
Absolutely.
Till then, I was Dr. Altamesh's right hand or this.
There's a
that.
very good doctor at the
Yeah,
Altamash
yeah.
Hospital,
Everybody, I'm just like that. But now people started recognizing me for that, and that sort of nobody can really tell you that feeling until you jump into it.
Especially
So-
when you've earned it, right? Because
Yeah, I mean, this is a roadmap.
Absolutely.
You cannot become the shadower, for example, without being shadowed first. I mean, you have to
That's
be.
a fair point.
Yeah, you have to continue learning from people until you think. And I'm not saying I jumped in with I knew everything. I mean, it's been a changing dynamic. When I opened Durrani's Dental Clinic in 2019, 2 months after was when the COVID outbreak happened.
oh,
That's when I started my clinic.
when
Everybody-
people were actually shutting their
Everybody
practices down.
was closing down, and I had put in all my money. I was like, this is it. So, it's been a very, very...
Absolutely. So I want to understand that obviously there must have been a few anxieties attached to this decision as well, and you must have been feeling confident about a few aspects too, right? So like, what was your biggest anxiety stepping into this, and what was one thing you were sure of? Okay, this is going to work out. I'm confident.
No. So, I don't recognize anxiety in that way to stop myself from doing stuff.
Okay.
To be honest, we never really, I mean, my generation never really knew anxiety as anxiety. We just knew it as stress or something.
Okay.
So I never thought that, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I knew that I will have to do it. So I tried my best to make sure that, so the way the roadmap happened with the minute the COVID happened, so normally your patient referrals happen from friends, going to a wedding, going to a friend's house, people
Absolutely.
so that's how you become visible.
Yeah.
But that entire thing got stopped for 2
Exactly.
years.
People weren't interacting with one
So
another.
a very brilliant friend of mine suggested that you have to go online and promote things digitally.
Makes
The reason why I'm digitally so visible is
Right.
because of my friend who told me this is the best way to do it, and you have to do this. I was like, okay, I had nothing else to do. Patients weren't coming in and they were early in.
Right.
So we started making daily videos, 1 minute videos every day on such basic but important topics that we started getting a lot of traction.
Especially because this kind of content doesn't really exist, right? And
Yeah.
it's very few practitioners who are trying to do it. So
We have to understand that our dental content has to be much different from just how to brush our teeth and how to floss. It is so much more intricate, and just daily routine changes and habit changes can influence patients' oral health. So there's so many things. Up at this point in time, people are still talking about filling गिर जाएगी या दांत हिल जाएंगे. आज के ज़माने में बोलते हैं ना, अभी भी बोलते हैं, हमें भी बोलते हैं. 20 साल हो गए, मैंने I gave up on that. I was like, okay, let's just put that on the side. Telling too many people about this is impossible. People who are seeking more knowledge, let's just talk to them.
okay.
Let's just not show them blood. Let's just not pull teeth out. Let's not show them that I'm a great surgeon. Let's just talk about the human side of things, how you can just improve your overall oral health so that you don't have these dental problems.
Right.
And we have to become accessible.
Absolutely.
You have to look like approachable for the doctor, for the patient to be like, "Acha, sahi, let me go and
Okay,
talk
so
to him."
maybe I'm drawing a tangent here, but since we're on the topic, considering that most of your patients belong from a certain socio-economic class, right? Because of the general understanding of it being a premium service at your clinic, but still, while we would like to assume that the awareness would exist more among the educated class of our society, what do you still see as a big knowledge gap when trying to understand oral hygiene among your patients?
No, it's not like that. There's no knowledge gap as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
To me, I studied a bit of public health during COVID,
Achha.
a little after COVID.
So, yeah.
That was there was a topic called social behavioral change, and there's like a full model of how to affect a society's behavior. It had some 4 aspects to it. The point where we lose is where we are unable to motivate or encourage behavior changes from the public. People know sweets are bad. People know smoking is bad. The medical world has been unsuccessful in making people stop smoking. The medical world has been unsuccessful in making them fat or obese, for that matter. So, I mean, we are just talking about cavities, and that hasn't, people just knowing that something is bad for them does not really affect a behavioral change.
You are right. And this is exactly what I want to understand. Why is that? Coming from an aware and educated group of people where you understand the side effects of consuming something, but continuing to consume that, like, as a healthcare practitioner, doesn't that give you a bit of an ick? What do you mean you don't brush your teeth? Or what do you mean this is how?
Yeah, but we want people to be more responsible. We want to encourage them to be, to sort of account for their actions and their health decisions. But we can want anything in the world. What you're talking about right now is something much deeper, which is human psyche and psychology. And humans, unless they are made to do things in their own benefit, they will always refrain from doing it. They will just sit and do nothing. This is human behavior. You can't push somebody to stop doing something. People who know that something is bad for them continue, they keep doing it.
Yeah.
They don't have the result. We're just humanly very disruptive.
Perhaps making it inaccessible and working towards making it like at least less accessible than it is today would be something that could work towards prevention.
No,
in the
that
future.
this works. That you condemn things which are bad. You promote healthy behaviors, and it has definitely over time. You've seen that policies do affect health and disease. So I mean, disease is getting less.
Sure.
Tooth loss is becoming less. Cavities are becoming higher. Restorative work is more compared to
Extraction
and all.
exodontia.
That's
Yeah, that
definitely
makes
there.
sense.
तो वो उससे फर्क पड़ रहा है. बट लोगों का खुद को उनको समझाना किसी चीज़ के ऊपर कि ये ना करो, ये बहुत बुरा है, ये बड़ा मुश्किल है उनको करवाना है.
Right. So let's come back to your practice now. तो अब तक आपकी timeline में हमने सारी चीज़ें cover कर ली. You were a house officer, the best house officer from the team, not to mention that. Then after that you were in Altamash for quite some time, and you were even a teacher for 2 years, and then finally decided in around 2020 you decided, okay, this is my time to shine. Even if the entire world is shutting down, you watch me make a clinic of my own. So after that now because there is a general reputation about your clinic that it's pretty high techy, right? The kind of materials that we see in your practice are usually the ones that we can only find in a very premium exhibition somewhere in some part of Middle East. Or your dependence on your inclination towards a digital workflow. So these are the topics that I want to touch now. सबसे पहले मुझे बताएं कि sir, in this instant gratification era when everything needs to be done in the same day implants, same day endodontic procedure, same day crown, how do you deal with the patient's demand of getting everything done ASAP? So that's what I want to understand.
No, so I come from a time when we used to tell patients that dentistry is slow. You know, we used to tell them अच्छी dentistry आराम से होती है. You know, तो अब लेकिन things have become possible. You know, we can, even though the stakes are higher, I can go wrong in many steps. So the reason why digital technology is becoming better is because it's eliminating a lot of the steps that used to be there.
Okay, fair point.
That's what. And then with digital technology, the accuracy and precision is much higher.
Sahi.
It's basically taking out risks of procedural errors.
Yeah.
And it's more accurate.
Okay.
So it's going to make things much faster. It's on paper it is going to do, and it is constantly evolving. The entire world is concentrating right now to make things faster.
So how do you cope up with enhancing your skill with cutting edge technology?
You have to be on the edge all the time. So other than attending conferences or going for a course, you have to take webinars on the go. I have webinars and podcasts lined up in my car, and if I'm driving somewhere, I will be listening to the little changes that are being made in CAD/CAM technology to improve printing and that. So that anything that helps me understand this technology, because I was not taught this, and this was not imagined 20 years ago. This is completely new to us. Back in the day, we used to take impressions with alginate for crowns.
Yeah, exactly.
अभी भी सुना है लोग कर रहे हैं, थोड़ी सी जाती है.
But now scanners are here. It's a
Yeah,
game
I mean
changer.
things are getting better.
Exactly.
But now the way forward is scanning, printing crowns and delivery. So it's just the way it is. So I mean, if I say कि नहीं मुझे कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, I'm being delusional. I mean the way forward for me to excel, for people to tell me apart from others, is doing cutting edge technology, cutting edge procedures. It is expensive, but it saves you money.
Absolutely.
Using bad materials will make more repetitions, cost you more in terms of time also. You can't have a lot of time wastage in your practice.
So like not investing in your knowledge will eventually cost you time and more material, if anything.
Your mindset should be that you are a learning dentist. When I became a dentist, I thought I was done in 4 years. 20 years down, I'm still, every weekend there's something that I'm either studying with a book and paper properly. Otherwise, it's not possible.
Right. So like a few technologies, for example, CBCT and scanners and 3D workflow, etc., is something that is at least starting to get understood by the mainstream dental community as well as fresh dentists, right? But I want to talk about dental lasers specifically because when I was looking you up on the internet, there were quite a lot of speaking sessions that you did on utilization of lasers in dentistry. So for somebody who has not studied this about this in their undergrad as well, has no understanding of how lasers can be utilized in dentistry, how would you comment?
So lasers, to begin with, are basically adjunctive to mainstream dentistry.
Right.
It improves a lot of things. It used to intrigue me how lasers work. I mean, there's nothing physically touching anything, and that I understood when I attended a lecture where they told me how the laser will increase the energy in mitochondria to function faster. You know, when you hear people saying that lasers के अंदर healing तेज होती है, वो injury कम होती है, और it helps in pain modulation. How is it doing it? There's nothing. So the energy is getting stored in the mitochondria of that cell and improving things. So it is it is nothing physical. It's just energy and science.
So what kind of procedures are you able to use dental lasers in?
So lasers will improve a patient's experience. So it will help in their healing. It will help. You can use lasers for gingivectomy procedures.
Sahi.
You can use it for depigmentation. The healing times are much faster. It is a painless procedure. You don't need any shots for it. No injections. And then lasers. I've used lasers for canal disinfection as well. That I feel is also adjunctive. When I really thought that I could not heal something, I used it and it worked.
Right.
So laser helps you in places where you think a lot of things may be more painful for the patient.
Perfect.
Photobiomodulation is also very effective. I mean, it makes movement faster for orthodontic patients. It's less painful for the patients. Things are the patients will have a better experience with orthodontic movement if you're doing biomodulation as well.
Interesting.
It has a huge. I mean, if you can buy yourself a laser, but don't buy yourself a laser on the first go. First buy loops. First buy things which will help you practice general dentistry first. Then
Right.
talk about
You walk
lasers.
before you run.
Yeah, please.
Absolutely. So now this has got me thinking about practicing as a general dentist doesn't मतलब सुनने में तो हम ये सोचते हैं कि अच्छा यार as a general dentist practice कर रहे हैं तो there doesn't have to be we don't have to be too specialisty. We can be like we can be average, but it's when I hear somebody like you talking is when I realize that you have to continue excelling in your skill and excelling in the kind of treatment and care that you're providing to your patient regardless of not being a specialist. But here is my question: why did you never consider specializing into a singular department of dentistry?
Into a specialty. No, I used to think that I would study this or study that, and
Okay.
but my life's flow was such that I had to get into practice very early on. I realized that I have to be very good in general dentistry for me to understand which kind of specialist dentistry I would like.
Interesting. That's a fair point.
At year 20, I am reaching a point where, 20 years after, you can think of what field you want to master, do your masters in or improve your clinical skill in. Abhi, I can probably go towards the digital side or the digital technician side. That interests me more because it is the future as far as I am concerned.
Right.
So, yeah. Now, if I was a general dentist with a basic general dental skill, my workflow would be different and I would not be as good at it without investing in the right tools and the right equipment.
Sahi.
So, endodontics, for example, I was, मेरे colleague थे, Dr. Nabil, University of Manchester, he studied endodontics for 3 years. 3 years doing redos. 3 years. आप ही से बात करें, हाँ रूट कैनाल है, चेम्बर खोलो, फाइलें डालो, बंद कर दो. तो वो 3 साल क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं? University of Manchester has the best endodontic master's program in the world. That guy studied for 3 years doing that. अभी खैर बहुत आगे निकल गए वो. So he was my endodontic mentor. He taught me. I used to anything that he had on his dental table.
Yeah.
I would buy it. मुझे ये मंगवा दो, ये मंगवा दो.
सही.
And then and he would never mentor me unless I had the right equipment. So I mean that's how I learned all of those things.
So while I'm understanding that your mentality has always been to in a good way know how to solve every problem that a patient can come to you with, right? So while that mentality exists, where do you incorporate the like understanding of okay, this might need to be referred to a specialist?
No, there's a lot of things that can be referred to a specialist. There are a lot of facial deformities, a lot of advanced periodontal cases, a lot of tumors, for example. All of these things can be referred to a dentist, to a specialist. My trouble at my practice has been 2. Number 1, when you want to be advanced general dentist, that's my own title. When you want to be an advanced general dentist who wants to practice specialist procedures, you have to buy all those specialist tools and materials. So one specialist, an endodontic specialist, will just get his rotaries, apex locator, CBCT and materials, is that.
Sahi.
But now I've decided to do implants also. I have piezoelectric stuff also. I have, the entire implant armamentarium as well. So my stuff is a lot. It is all that a specialist will use, but all doctors, for perio, for implants, for operative, for prosto, that cost is a lot. So in Karachi, I don't see that people invest in tools and specialists really practicing on those tools.
Okay.
So that's my
So
trouble.
you need to like consider a specialist even better than you in that
The
particular
title
field.
I have, I'm a practitioner, right? I run a clinic. My patient's interest is supreme to me. I cannot refer them to somebody who I know only has a title. I have to go way beyond the title
Absolutely.
to somebody who's worked on that equipment with that mindset.
I think that is that is like a learning point for even the specialists or the ones who are en route becoming a specialist. That just having the title might not earn them the respect and place in the community that they think. It's more about like proving themselves. So now let's take a step back in setting up the practice, and because your practice is fairly new as well, like it hasn't even been a decade since you
Yeah.
set up your own practice, and by the time you set it up, it was usually the time that not many, at least nobody was establishing a dental practice. That's for sure. Even if the ones that were keeping it, they were trying to keep it.
Yeah.
So now, because most of the fresh graduates have this mentality to, especially I believe male fresh graduates, they have this mindset to immediately open up their private practice at least as soon as they can. But there are a couple of challenges with that, obviously. The first challenge, I believe, is the financial risk management. Like, how do we gauge this financial risk as opposed to how are we sure that we will be able to remain profitable, at least in the few years? So that's number one. And number two, how are we sure in our own skill set? Because we've only worked under supervision so far, right? So what is it going to look like working as the principal dentist? These are the two things, if you could answer these.
So we have a lot of senior doctors and specialists who can come to your practice if you've set up your clinic, right? So they can come in and do the specialist procedures that you think you are not, good at.
ठीक है.
But you will learn when you have your own patient at stake. So then you will really get into the detail of it. The first question you asked me was about what the financial aspect of
Yeah.
setting up a dental clinic. You have to understand that dentistry is extremely expensive. Treatment, giving the treatment, all of it is expensive. You have to add on operation cost and learning from other clinics as part of your career. Now, there's just no way about it.
Okay.
So unless you are ready to go not work but still learn from different people,
सही.
you will waste a lot of time. ये मैं सबको बोलता हूँ कि आप पैसे जमा करें, अपना क्लिनिक खोल लें, वहाँ पे सीनियर डॉक्टर्स बिठा दें, ठीक है, make the practice running. That covers the business aspect of it.
Right.
Learn from those doctors. That adds on to your teaching. If you have the money, set it up.
Right.
You have it running. But your own skill will just develop over time. I say there's no shortcuts about it.
Right. So I think this reduces the anxiety with being the boss and being answerable to all the
You don't have to be
procedures.
the boss. It's the toughest thing to be the boss.
Yeah.
It sounds great, but it's a 24-hour job.
Absolutely.
You have when you become a boss is when you realize, okay, these are the things that I didn't think were even accounted for. So you really, but it's great. At the end of the day, it's very difficult. But if you're, मैं कहता हूँ अगर आप पागल हैं ना, तो आप बिल्कुल ठीक हैं, ठीक फील्ड में, आपको बिल्कुल पागल होना चाहिए. So things will not make sense.
Right.
You will not be doing them
So
accordingly.
because you mentioned that establishing a good practice, a very big part of it is to be able to create a good team, right? Even if they are senior than you, you will get the opportunity to learn
Yeah.
from them. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about building a team. For example, for somebody like you at this point, building a team will not exactly look like hiring somebody senior, but somebody that you need to train now, right? Which then kind of takes a toll on your time as well. But I want to understand what do you, at least as per the Durrani standard, as I mentioned earlier, look at in terms of the skill set or in terms of the other abilities when you hire an associate, and what is your plan of action in terms of investing on them in terms of your time? कि अच्छा इसको तो मैंने ABCDEFG ये सब कुछ सिखाना है, तो आपके जहन में क्या होता है कि मैं बस ये सिखाना चाहता हूँ, ये उसको ऑलरेडी पता हो?
So when I'm building a team, so there is a vision behind it. Na? You want them to practice with a certain ethic and communications with your the communication has to be thoroughly professional all the time, and the person has to be likable. if you are not a likable personality, try to become likable, because the patient will only let you do things if they like.
What is a likable personality in healthcare?
Somebody who talks nicely, looks nice, smells nice, approaches the room gently, is calm and just relaxed. You don't want to create an emergency when you're coming into the practice. Ye de do, aise kar do, waise kar do. Patient is already anxious. Even at my practice, patients come in full anxious. People who have not been to a dentist in 40, 50, 70 years come to my practice because they've only heard कि अच्छा यहाँ नहीं होगी stress. So you have to, unless you are likable for the patient, they won't let you do anything.
Do you think competency triumphs personality in this aspect?
Not in our field. Not in our field. Our field is a face first field. Patients, and our country is such that we run on names. My practice cannot be luxury dental service. It has to be it has to be Durrani Dental Clinic or any other clinic. We don't work with. It has to follow the doctor's name. That's how practices work in Pakistan.
Right. तो चलें, ये तो पर्सनालिटी एस्पेक्ट हो गया, फिर स्किल सेट एस्पेक्ट क्या है?
स्किल सेट तो कहीं रुक ही नहीं सकता ना. स्किल सेट तो हर वक्त आपने इम्प्रूव करते रहना है. तो जो मेरे यहाँ आप पीपल हु आई विल हायर, I don't expect a lot of skills from them, because be honest, the fact is that ever since COVID has happened in the last 6 years, every graduate has not really practiced properly. They've not been taught properly. It's a
Unfortunately,
fact.
yeah.
These are facts. Now they haven't learnt anything, but they definitely would, in their personalities, have communication skills that you can identify between people. So
Sahi.
those things are important to me. But I know they themselves don't really know much.
ठीक है.
And we're okay with it. We want them to learn.
तो सर मुझे ये बताएं कि those who do versus those who don't take a chance on young graduates, what do you think is the thought process behind both?
Well, I think if there are different kinds of clinics in the city. हर बजट के हिसाब से आपको ट्रीटमेंट मिल सकता है हमारे शहर में. ठीक है, इसको ये फैक्ट है. तो जो मशीन टाइप प्रैक्टिसेस है ना कि बस इन एंड आउट है, तो वहाँ पे दे विल बी ओके विद न्यूअर डॉक्टर्स और इवन ओल्डर डॉक्टर्स, एज लॉन्ग एज द वर्क इज बीइंग डन इन अ सर्टेन वे. एट माय प्रैक्टिस और एनीबडी हु इज डूइंग अ प्राइवेट प्रैक्टिस, दे हैव अदर थिंग्स टू सी. दे वांट देम to be in a certain way, they want them to talk in a certain manner, because it affects the patient's compliance into procedures. ये बहुत important है.
Okay, I think that makes a
and
point.
I'll tell you this much also. There are too many doctors who are not that good in their skill, but great in their talk, and they have great running practices. This should tell you a lot. I mean, it's just I'm not saying it's a good thing. You should be very skilled.
Right,
but I'm saying the way in is through your how you talk to the patient.
Sahi. Achha, so let's come back a little bit to setting up the clinic wali cheez. I want to understand the blueprint of how you can set up a clinic, right? So for example, in order to make it a premium experience, between choosing a premium location versus choosing an average location and making it a premium experience nonetheless, which one of these would you go for?
I think nowadays you have, again, if your goal is to make a premium practice, your patients will find you because of Google, wherever you're sitting. I mean, okay. I'm sitting on the 3rd floor of a building. People come to me. Sometimes they walk in. I've had walk-in patients which I would never expect, But anyway, point is, if you're making a private practice, so then the location itself matters in the way that the area should be clean. There should be no tandoor walas and mechanics running down.
Okay.
The overall, there should be ample parking, because people will come with their, it's not a walkway. These things do matter. When I opened my practice, I got it basically for 2 years only to see if this place suits my patients or not. Then I would have I was going to move, but things changed. So location is not really that important for the kind of patients we are treating, because they are looking for a more premium experience. Nowadays, it is almost impossible to get a very prime location, because it's just not possible. Safety issues are there. If you, for example, have a ground floor clinic, anybody can walk in. These are, and I mean, we have over 70% female patients coming in. and my practice is about 90% female and only 2 males. So that also is a responsibility on me, that we give them a secure environment. So I mean, there's no way that I would be, the way I am relaxed working on the 3rd floor as far as security is concerned compared to the ground floor.
Right.
And even during the day, during the night. So these things matter. But
Right.
what is important to understand is that doctors are not taught how to do marketing, and marketing is a lot
This is
about.
what I was going to come to, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, you see, branding, you have to understand branding.
Sahi.
You have to be, and as if you're setting up your own clinic, anybody who you think is doing a good job, they themselves are the brand. And that branding is there throughout all the doctors that you know.
ठीक है.
They're living and breathing their own brand.
Achha, but I want to understand ki wouldn't this get a little too overwhelming for somebody who's working round the clock doing patients, but then also has to, strike a pose when the media person is like recording something. They also have to worry about having top-notch documentation in terms of pictures and stuff like that. Does that not become a hurdle in day-to-day
It's
routine
fine.
procedures?
It's fine if you have to work hard, that will benefit you. I don't think there's a trouble in it. I mean, I would not. I made 400 videos every day after work. We would get done at 5.
400 videos every day?
No. One video for 400 days.
Okay.
One video for 400 days.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's 1 to 400.
That's
So
still a lot.
after 5 o'clock, which is when I was getting done with work, then I would think of an idea, write down points, and then make the video. I would not like doing it. I mean, I've had a tough day throughout the day. Why would I want to do? But it is important. The patients want to connect. Patients connect through videos. You see? So, I mean, you cannot have I don't run on motivation. I run on discipline, and that's the most important thing. Motivation is very,
Fluctuating.
yeah, I mean, discipline is more important. You just have to get things, and consistency is very important.
Right. Okay, so now coming back a little bit to hiring and team management, right? I have 2 questions. Number one, so far you only have 1 practice, but I'm hoping you're planning to expand sometime in near future as well. So how will you ensure standardization across multiple practices, considering that you won't be able to hold the drill at every practice, right?
No, that's a very good question, and I am currently going through this mental question myself, because all the people I have spoken to, over here you don't have a lot of multiple practices.
Yes.
People will have just 1 practice, and but when you go to the North American side, you will see that people will have 7, 8, 9.
Right.
Even in Europe, they will have 3, 4 practices. So then I spoke to a lot of people, and then those people basically told me that moving from the first to the second is the most unbelievably difficult thing to do. And then onwards, everything is fine, because you're going out from that shell of
Right.
yourself to delegating work. And once you have that recipe
Crack the
done,
code, yeah.
you've cracked the code, then you are fine. Then you go from 2 to 5, 2 to 4, everything is just will sustain.
It's the same formula you
Yeah,
apply.
and I at this point am, even though I have a great team, but I'm going through that. Another thing is, we're in 2026, and post-COVID, the last 5 years every year has been dynamic, changing in a way that you can't expect it to change. This March has had too many things going on, and still there are two more days to go.
We have had enough of the...
So, I mean, for me to make a plan that will take me 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down, I always make a 2-year, 3-year, 10-year plan. I mean, right now, it's very hard for somebody like me also to make a plan where I can safeguard everybody's interest and also get profit out of it. So, it's a very difficult thing to judge right now. But dentistry is great. I mean, if you are going to provide good service, good treatments in a good place with likable doctors, you will always thrive.
Right. So I believe one aspect of creating standardization among multiple practices, but also within your own practice, would be to have the immediate other associates, if not as tech savvy as you, but at least very close to what you are, right?
Yeah.
Understand every other procedure in pretty much the same way that you do, and have the same confidence, at least, if not the skill set, because that will come with time. So how do you ensure mentoring in a way to create like kind of a clone at the
No, I don't want a clone.
Okay.
I want every dentist has to have their own game, and things I don't do well, my associates do it sometimes really well.
Okay.
ठीक है? I mean, I have seen a digital scanner 17 years into practice now. I've been using it 3 years. My team fell into it directly right 2-3 years into practice.
Right.
So I mean, they're better at it, you know. But I understand the technical side of it. I understand how it's
Right.
made, why it's being made that way, that they don't understand because
Right.
I've studied more into that. You see?
Right,
So
and you
to
have
me, a new doctor graduate who's exposed to all these things,
Yeah.
they will always have an edge if they
Right.
know the science behind scanning and digital dentistry. It's really beneficial.
Right. So one thing that you mentioned about having a 2 to 3 to 5 or if not 10-year plan was something that really stuck with me, because initially any graduate, the first plan that they make is to move abroad, because this is kind of the only opportunity to think of when they try to think of making immediate money. Did this thought ever cross your mind as well?
Yeah. I mean, just when I had graduated, so there were two options. One was to do FCPS Part 1 and the other was to give INBD. And I decided that, okay, sure. So I gave the Part 1 and I went for the exams as well. But the way that my life happened, I'm the eldest in my family, and my younger siblings, while I was thinking about it, everybody else, it was much easier for them to move out compared to us. As dentists, we have to go through the licensure,
yes, absolutely.
study, money, this, that, compared to somebody who's done an MBA where they apply for a job and they get it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. So they got a chance to move out much faster. And in a way, I've been very comfortable in working over here, because even though people say that, you don't want to be there's a talk about being a big fish in a small pond, or a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
I'm very happy being a big fish in a small pond. So it helps you grow. It helps you create the right kind of environment. I mean, we have about 40 years into practice. I'm 20 years into it already. The next
Okay.
20 years have to be fantastic for me.
Okay,
So-
that's a
So,
reasonable
yeah,
goal.
that really didn't really. I mean, I would jump into something which was very unknown to me.
But even though you haven't established a practice of your own abroad, you do have significant international speaking experience and
Yeah,
participating in
yeah.
conferences, etc. Right? So I want to touch base on the recent experience in Bangkok that you had with the FDI conference.
Yeah.
What did you speak on in that
So
conference?
that was we had I had done a research with a friend of mine, and that was about the anti-inflammatory effects of honey compared
okay.
to all the other things. And this was tested with patients who have orthodontic experience, gum, perio problems,
So
and
like
all of that.
exploring the scientific part of a desi tota.
Yeah, I mean, and it worked, and it was proven that it was better than a lot of other adjuncts that we use. So I mean, it's sometimes even now, it's recommended that if you have a cut somewhere, you can put in organic honey. If you have that, you can use that. People really appreciated it over there. They were like, where did this come from? And this was raw honey, organic honey, which was really made in.
What was the response like of the audience?
They
over
were
there?
they were shocked. They really appreciated it, and they never thought that this could be an adjunct to
Exactly.
something like that. And I still regularly prescribe. And another thing is, we have to work evidence based. We have to recommend things which are scientific.
Absolutely.
But we cannot completely discourage things which are have been in practice over the years.
Okay, I think
Without,
that's
if something is not fully researched, what I mean to say
Right.
is that just because something hasn't been fully researched doesn't mean that it's right or wrong.
Sahi.
You have to get into it to understand. You
You have to
can't
give it
just
room for
yeah. You
exploration.
have to give it that exposure, because it has happened. It has happened too often that there have been failed root canals which were done perfectly on the X-ray, and there have been very pathetic looking radiographs that have not failed in 20 years.
Yeah.
You see, so that opens your mind to the fact that there was something more to things. So sometimes you have to give some leeway to older methods as well.
Right, okay. Acha, वैसे while we're talking about older methods and some conventional totke working out just fine in the favor of science as well, I want to understand, just when we were talking a while back, you mentioned how the person who invented ProTaper was only a part-time professor
Yeah.
at one of the biggest universities in one of the biggest programs of endodontics in the world, right? But, and because you yourself are the kind of person who is always very interested in getting your hands on the the next best tech, like proven thing in dentistry. Do you think there is a room for improvement in terms of the new thing that can be revolutionized in dentistry? And I'm asking this question also because you formed your own organization. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name. Is it Academy of
Advanced Dental
Advanced
Sciences.
Dental Sciences?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
perfect. So there must have been a knowledge gap that you thought that you wanted to fill in, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
The reason why I made the academy was that I wanted to empower clinicians, fresh graduates,
Sahi.
into getting good with basic dental procedures
ठीक
because they
है.
were unable to do them with a clear mind. Now I learned that a lot of the some 50% of the batch was interested in really learning it, and 50% was into just getting the certificate.
Certificate.
Then another thing I learned was that the keenness to get into the procedure was way more less compared to again just seeing it. You have to get your hands dirty. So I always talk about the doctor, a fresh graduate or even a young doctor, being a thinking doctor. You have to be thinking, why am I doing this? You know, will this work? Dentistry is not plug and play. I can't do the same kind of file sequence for a patient. I can't do the same kind of filling for every patient. I can't have the same treatment for every patient. You
ठीक है.
have to know the why before you suggest it to your patient. So,
सही.
so I mean, so that's why we made that academy. It was great. We had great response. I mean, it was packed for 2 years. So that was that. And then when we go abroad and when we meet doctors over there, every dentist who's even 40 years into practice is still doing continuing dental education programs. They're still upgrading their skill. They're not only there to meet people, but they're there sitting throughout the day, grabbing that one little, piece of information that is helping them into their practice.
Right.
So I over here in Pakistan also go to everybody's lecture and conference and seminar.
You're actually one of the few guests that is always ready to accept any invitation.
Yeah.
And as somebody who has hosted conferences before, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So now, because you have had quite significant exposure with international conferences, what take-home message have you had from these conferences that you think can be beneficial for Pakistani conferences ke hosts at the moment? Like, how do you think they can be made better in terms of fulfilling the maqsad of a conference?
No, I think conferences had become really poor in Pakistan the past, before the last 5, pre-COVID, they had become really bad. I mean, they were just very repetitive and there was no innovation happening. But in the last 2 years, I've attended conferences which were organized by students. And those conferences were very well done. And I thought that they were very organized. It seemed like they had a purpose. They gathered really good speakers and they dealt with the speakers very professionally, which was very uncommon in previously done conferences.
Unfortunately, it has been
right. And then the topics which were highlighted in those conferences were very different from the ones which used to be done pre-COVID, because they were very procedure oriented. And these conferences are talking about mental health, career
exactly,
counseling,
soft skills,
and that sort of, I was like, wow, these things are being talked about now, which I thought was fantastic. So that I feel is something which is very good, not on the side of the people who are organizing conferences, but more towards the people who are supposed to attend the conferences. I feel these guys are now doing a good job, but we are unable to go or make clinicians mainly to come into conferences.
Yes, this is the part that I was going to come towards. So, for example, aap bataएं, considering that you have a very busy schedule of your own, and there is pretty much no monetary aspect attached to attending a conference and giving your time to it. It's goodwill, right? But still, what is the motivation to always saying yes to like conferences of audience of 600, 700, where you will have to give quite a lot of time?
It's extremely important that we continue our education, be it about procedures or meeting people or learning, new policy, whatever it is. It's extremely important to continue going to conferences and seminars. I mean, in today's world where, I can sit and listen to a webinar or a podcast on dentistry, going to a conference within my own city is fantastic. Why wouldn't I want to go? And then, I mean, I am spending a lot of money when I go abroad to a conference, to attend a lecture, get a certification. These are expensive things. So, I mean, honestly, we have done periodontal courses here which had great value at very less money compared to, or implantology. One diploma I did here, it was 6 month diploma. It was fantastic. That kind, that somebody would pay maybe $20,000-$30,000 for a course like that.
Right.
That you don't probably pay less than $500 a year. So you have great teachers, you have great equipment. You have to, as doctors, you have to go there
Right.
to learn these things. It's very important.
Right. So I think you mentioned a good thing. It's it falls upon the responsibility of the practitioner themselves to seek knowledge and see where the programs are being held and where they can go.
Yeah.
Right. Acha. So now.
I want to say this, that you are as busy as you want to be. So I
Right.
mean, me saying that I have too many patients, I can't come, is lie.
Okay. Or
It's a
at
lack.
least
No, it's a lack of intent.
lack
I
of
mean,
intent, yes.
and there is lack of intent, it won't happen.
Right.
नियतों पे सब कुछ होता है.
अच्छा, तो जब आपने सॉफ्ट स्किल्स और वो मेंटल हेल्थ एस्पेक्ट की बात की थी, विच दिस टेक्स मी टू द डिफिकल्ट साइड ऑफ डेंटिस्ट्री एज वेल, विच इज़ द पेशेंट हैंडलिंग वाला पार्ट.
Yeah.
तो जब हम बात कर रहे थे ना अबाउट ट्रेनिंग एंड मेंटोरिंग एंड डेवलपिंग स्किल सेट, मेरे ख्याल से ये वो एक चीज़ है पेशेंट हैंडलिंग के हिसाब से, विच इज़ वाई यू वर ऑल्सो मैंशनिंग प्रेजेंटेबल गुड कम्युनिकेटर, इज बिकॉज आप ये स्किल बहुत ज़्यादा किसी के अंदर इंस्टिल नहीं कर सकते. यू इधर आर अ नेचुरली गुड टॉकर, और यू have had significant years of experience to then eventually be able to say something soothing to a patient जिससे आपकी competency जो है reflect होती है. So how do you at your practice deal with the unreasonable patients sometimes, like the ones who don't have a problem but they have a problem?
No, you have to always take the patient side. You see, a patient, if they have taken the pain and the time to book an appointment and come to you, they are there to get something done.
सही, that
ठीक
makes
है.
sense.
ज़रूर था उनकी ज़िंदगी में प्रॉब्लम ज़रूर था. अब if for example we are if the patient is extremely anxious, now I have structured my appointments to 1 hour appointments, even for consultations. We don't do 5-minute consultations.
Okay.
If I'm doing a 5-minute consultation, I'm like, जी क्या हुआ, मुंह खोलें, देखें, देखा आपकी फिलिंग करनी है, रूट का दांत निकालना है, ये छोटी बात है. But if I am concentrated, I have kept an hour for a consultation. That gives me time for treatment and pacifying the patient. So we are never in a hurry. If you are in a hurry, instruments ठक ठोक के impression ले लो, X-ray ले लो, ये ले लो, patient को जल्दी में ना एंजाइटी होती है हमेशा. 1 घंटा मैंने ये डिज़ाइन किया हुआ है, 1 घंटा है, तो इस वजह से पेशेंट के साथ मैं गप लगाता हूँ. I talk to their attendant, I talk to them why they've been so scared. If I see a patient who is extremely scared, bad situation going on, so I'm like, लगता है आपको ना dentist काफ़ी बुरे लगते हैं. That's one of my pet lines, when they will start laughing at it, I hate them and this. Fine, you hate us, but eventually you will come to us. So we have to build that rapport with them, and that's how they gain the trust. Because अगर मैं उनको बोलूँगा आपको क्या ज़रूरत थी इतने दांत खराब करने की, if I start just blaming them, that's not productive. So the more time I give, the patient becomes more comfortable. That anxiety helps. Then when you're making a clinic, there's a whole science to making to lighting up a practice.
Okay.
I'm just Google it.
Okay.
There's a science to the temperature of a clinic's light, the spots where you're supposed to light it, the kind of music you're supposed to create, what colors cause. There's a whole color theory. What colors cause anxiety? What are calming ones?
Is this the reason your entire clinic is white?
Yes, exactly. We are white. We are green. We are earthy all over. When I was making my own clinic, it was on rent. And everybody who saw my clinic told me nobody puts in so much money at a practice which is at rent. तो कोई उठा देगा तुम्हें. मैं कहा जब होगा, जब तक मैं वो बना ना लूँ जैसे मुझे बनाना है. So there's a whole science of the experience when the patient walks into the clinic. The music they're hearing. We have essential oils, going all over. Expenses.
Premium है तो फिर हर aspect.
नहीं ये है ना, when the patient will, आपने ग्लास जो है वो आपने उनको ऐसे पेपरी सा ग्लास दिया पानी पीने के लिए, वो पेपर जो ग्लास आप दे रहे हैं उस ग्लास की भी क्वालिटी अच्छी होनी चाहिए. The equipment, the materials that you are using have to be premium. That is your non-verbal communication of the standard that you want to protect at your clinic. We opened the practice where the waiting area sees directly into the sterilization room.
Right.
Nobody does it. कितना हाई स्टेक की बात है कि आपको अंदर नजर आ रहा है, तो हमारे स्टेरिलाइजेशन का कितना अच्छा स्टैंडर्ड होना चाहिए कि हमने बिल्कुल सामने रखा हुआ है, कोई भी बोलेगा हाँ यार दिस लुक्स dirty.
वरना यूजुअली जो सबसे स्टोर रूम टाइप
You
जगह
have
होती
no,
है
exactly.
वो
So I
sterilization.
took that pain to show that I do this. This is my standard of work. You know,
Right.
it's very difficult to do
So
it
it's
that way.
very दिखेगा तो बिकेगा वाला
100%, 100%.
Right.
क्या जरूरत है? I would do tours. Any patient who would walk into my clinic, I would show them. You know, we don't even have buttons in your eye level. Our
Okay.
buttons in my clinic are all around your knee, because buttons is all clutter. You don't have wires all around my clinic hanging around, dangling from the screens.
Right.
These are such tiny details that are
Absolutely.
non-verbal communications to patients. You see, patients are unbelievably sharp. They observe all these things. लाइटों से वो लटक रहे हैं जाले, और चीज़ें गंदी हैं, तार लटक रहे हैं. I am here at your studio. I know everything is meticulously planned. Everything has a purpose. If I have plants in my clinic which are thriving, patients notice that when they come in. It is one of our talking points. They realize patients who understand finer details will look for all of these.
Absolutely.
They connect very well.
And even the ones who don't look at the fine details, they'll get a vibe.
But
It'll
you
be
see, these things are very important in creating a premium experience. It's just, and if you want to understand what I talk about, just go into how Apple is Apple. That's my...
The user interface
Bus.
and everything.
All you
absolutely.
do, just follow. You have to be Apple and not Samsung or Android. You have to be
We
Apple.
might have to cut this
Just,
part.
yeah. Oh, that's fine. But you have to be that.
Right, no,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Acha, okay, so one last question, which is also a tangent before we move towards my favorite round.
Yeah.
So, with the role of artificial intelligence, especially very accessible platforms like Claude and Gemini, ChatGPT, etc., patients have started to appreciate these platforms also because they can get a consultation out of these applications that is at least longer than 10 minutes, right? So, what does this is this like a problem for a practitioner? For example, for you, when a patient knows more than they should over the internet, which is like Neem Hakeem information, or is it a good thing that patient comes informed?
No, it's 100% very good. Abhi we are talking about ChatGPT and Claude, but before we used to talk about Google. And you would see a lot of doctors be like, आप Google से ना पढ़ के आए और आप हमारी बात सुने और ये वो, you know, वो एक problem था. But I would always tell them कि Google कर लेना इसको खुद जाके, ये मेरा pet है. Abhi bhi, I'm like, go over ChatGPT if you are unable to understand something. Figure out whatever you want to figure out. If you have questions, you come to me later. But first, listen to what I'm telling you. This is the way forward. Because हमारे कहने पे उन्होंने रुकना भी नहीं है और हमारे कहने पे उन्होंने शुरू भी नहीं करना. So that's, you have to, just open arms से लें आप AI को. It's very beneficial.
हाँ सही है, क्योंकि आप उसको रिपेल नहीं कर सकते अब बहुत ज़्यादा, तो it's only fair.
कोई फायदा ही नहीं, हर चीज़ में हम यूज़ कर रहे हैं AI को. चाहे ज़रूरत है हमें या नहीं, हम कर ज़रूर रहे हैं AI को इस्तेमाल. Incorporate, it's fully into everybody's life now. Anybody who's got a phone is doing AI one way or the other. So if a person is getting into their own health, it shows their keenness that they want to figure out कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं. कुछ ज़्यादा कोई पढ़ के आ जाता तो मैं कहता हूँ देखें इसके लिए डिग्री लेनी पड़ती है.
मुझे एंटीबायोटिक का नाम मत बताएं आप.
नहीं, हाँ, इसके लिए डिग्री लेनी पड़ती है, ये नहीं करना था आपने. But ये बाकी चीज़ों के लिए I'm like, go figure it out if you like. Why, no problem.
अच्छा, sir, I know I keep saying that this is the last thing, but I swear this is.
No, I'm having a good time. You can keep asking.
So about the administrative stress, क्योंकि अब तक जितनी भी conversation हमारी हुई है, you talked about expanding, you talked about having a team, you talked about mentoring dentists as well. But there is so much more to managing a clinic than just being a clinician, right? You have to be the administrative boss. You have to say yes and no to so many decisions, and I'm sure that there must be assistants going around doing all the non-clinical work, but again, that's not it as well. There has to be somebody who makes all the decisions. So comment a little bit on how you manage the academic stress, considering that of course you have a personal life of your own as well, and also now that you are planning to expand at some point in future, inshallah, so wo academic, will you still be the administrative head, or would you then delegate this responsibility?
No, so I made my life easy by delegating my work as far as the administration is concerned. This was key to me performing well.
Sahi.
Me going abroad to go do a course, or me going on a trip, or me doing my patients. Extremely important. Now, as dentists, it is as an owner of a business, it's almost impossible to delegate the decisive powers to your team member, right? But for that, you have to create that team. And once you have that team, you please delegate that work.
Sahi.
I have done that. I'm very happy with the people I work with. I think they are very happy with who they work with, and it's a very good team. So it's fantastic. So I have until I delegated my work, I used to be very stressed. I had materials to look at, bills, this, that. But now a lot of that has been delegated. The off-clinic work has been delegated to the team.
Sahi.
Still, there's some administrative work that I have to take care of.
I
Of
mean,
course.
kudos to your team, but also kudos to you for developing that atmosphere where they can, be the decision makers at least to some extent.
I don't have to say it, but everybody who's at my practice, they have open permission to criticize anything that I'm doing. You see, we encourage that behavior in the clinic. I have no problem. As long as they are talking in the benefit of my patient or they're talking in the benefit of the clinic, if I'm wrong, I'm okay being wrong. That has happened a few times.
I think that's also a pro of having like-minded individuals, even if they're very junior, right? Because while you will always think in the best interest of your patient, you're also only human and have other things to take care of as well, and will miss out on a few things. So
No,
it's important.
it's a lot about building confidence. You see, if you're insecure about things, you will always do stupid stuff.
Right.
You see, you will do not so good things. But if you're building confidence and the person has if I, for example, give you everything that you need, right?
Right.
And now you have the ability to do whatever you want. That brings in a lot of, power.
Bilkul.
So, would you want to do something bad to somebody, or would you want to do your best for your own self?
Bilkul.
You see? So, when you're enabling people or your team, they should have the confidence that I'm at their back, but they have the authority to do whatever they
Right.
like.
और इससे एक ownership भी develop हो जाती है,
That's
definitely.
exactly what I'm talking about. Unless you have that ownership, if you don't, because it can't be plug and play. There's nothing in dentistry which is plug and play. You have to take it from A to Z
Right.
with everything. So वो ownership के बगैर आता ही नहीं है.
Right.
You can't excel with the ownership. बहुत ज़रूरी है.
Absolutely. और यही वो ओनरशिप है जो अमूमन एम्प्लॉयर्स देखना तो चाहते हैं अपने एम्प्लॉयज में, लेकिन फिर द काइंड ऑफ अथॉरिटी दे हैव गिवन देम इन ऑर्डर टू, जैसे आपने बोला, क्रिटिक या कमेंट ऑन द करंट सिचुएशन, वो बहुत कम है.
Yeah.
लेकिन फिर देयर लाइक, oh, why don't you own to this because you don't let us own to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think we have had
No, but that has changed.
Yeah.
Back when I was I was a young dentist. The kind of dentists which were in practice were very different. They had the ability to be rude to their patients. They could scold their patients, scold their team. But nowadays, it's not like that. People have
I'm glad.
have become more aware of it.
Yeah.
Patients don't get scolded by their doctors anymore. We don't scold anymore. The environment has changed. It has become more calmer and more. It's become nicer.
Right,
It's not as toxic as you guys have no idea how it used to be toxic back in the day. There's no toxicity nowadays. It's all छोटा मोटा है, कोई बड़ी टेंशन नहीं है. Yeah. When you're in person, you're dealing with toxic environments. That environment, वो माहौल अभी बहुत change हो गया. अब नहीं. लोगों के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है ना. अब लोग ही नहीं इतने टॉक्सिक उतने ज्यादा तो.
Also, I think people have stopped taking rude behavior as something that they cannot deal with, right? Because your patient essentially is your customer and will and can walk out. So if you are anything but kind to them, they don't have to come to you again.
Yeah, I mean, you see, you can't be disrespectful to anybody, right?
सही बात है.
So if the patient is being disrespectful, you ask them to leave. Thank you very much. If you are being disrespectful to them, so then they will leave.
And that Google review will stay forever.
But that's okay. You see, abhi Google reviews were a big thing back in the day, but now people have realized that they were also
made up.
Those में भी बड़े मसले थे, तो weaponized, for example. So that doesn't matter. Eventually, you see, जो golden बात है ना, वो ये कि if you are creating a digital presence, which is extremely important in today's world, you have to work on authenticity, and that is only it. Anything which is trendy, that doesn't matter. As long as you are everything that you're pushing out is authentic and true, then you are fine. If you are pushing out fake stuff, then the internet remembers. It's
Sahi.
as simple
So
as
like
that.
as long as you're authentic, any additional thing you're doing is going to add to it.
Everything.
Sure.
Yes.
But you've got the core sorted.
Yes.
Right. So, Dr. Durrani, I think we had a wonderful discussion. This was so far one of the most enriching discussions I've had. But the next round is like kind of a not a no-brainer, but more of a quick brainer. Like you cannot take time to think in these at all,
Yeah.
right? So this is this is a digital versus analog kind of a quiz because I wanted to understand how does the brain of a very digitally oriented and workflowed practice owner
Yeah.
functions, right? So, number one, paper charts or cloud-based records?
Paper charts.
Why?
So far we've been unable to move on to cloud-based charts, even
Okay.
though we prefer it. But because the last so many years has been on hand and paper, pen and paper, so we were there. But we would want to move to cloud-based for sure.
Okay, okay. I like the honesty
Yeah.
here. Your favorite tool in the clinic?
My loops.
I knew you were going to say that.
You can't do anything without your loops.
How long
and
have you
light.
been using the loops for? Like ever since your
No,
early
so I've
practice?
had loops since maybe 15 years, but
Acha.
they haven't been the same. I used to have
obviously.
flip ups and then another flip up, then flip ups, and then eventually I got the ones that I have currently.
Acha, is it true that when somebody starts to work with loops, then without loops, like they're almost blind? It's
You're
like
right. Absolutely.
right.
It gets into your mind that you can't see properly.
Hmm.
If you go from 3x to 5x, that will spoil your 3x. Then you want to work with 5.
But
if you
how
move to
much
20x, then you are just working with a micro.
20x?
Yes,
Wow.
so it's just you
Smear
just see
layer
more.
nazar aa rahi hogi
So yeah,
probably.
exactly. So you don't want to see so much sometimes.
Right.
You just want to see till 3x.
What's the resolution you like to work with?
Yeah, I'm happy with 3x very much. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right. So traditional impressions or 3D intraoral
इसमें
scanning?
अच्छा चलो छोड़ो. Say that
Traditional impressions or 3D intraoral scanning?
3D always better.
When did you switch? When did you make the permanent switch between these two?
We haven't. I mean, I will say that we are at 80% digital impressions and 20% conventional for various reasons. But we did that. I mean, we made a conscious decision 3 years ago when I had bought the scanner. So we had made a conscious decision because it was going to be a new experience for me, for my team, for my patients. Everything, it was going to be new.
Sahi.
Right? So we had, unless I had consciously told everybody that you have to take scanners, you have to scan, it would not happen. It would be a beautiful showpiece in my
Right.
practice.
Sahi.
But we have, with intent, we've made it more about digital impressions.
Okay. Next one. For a healthy and fully functionally abled patient, would you suggest a manual toothbrushing or electric toothbrush?
Always electric. 100%.
Hmm.
Electric toothbrushes are more efficient.
ठीक है.
They are their heads are tiny. They are more accessible into your mouth. Fact is, manual strokes are about 600 to 800 strokes a minute.
सही.
An electric is 32,000 strokes a minute. So I mean, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Okay. That's a very interesting take on this. because-
Manual, and then it has a pressure sensor, so you know that you're not doing it too hard. You're not injuring the gums. Then the bristles are designed in a certain way that they don't injure the gum. So I mean, we were using touch screens in 2026. I mean, you can't be on the manual tactile buttons. तो किसी को समझ ही नहीं आते हैं.
Right.
So ये electric is extremely important.
Okay.
Yeah, shift now.
So, next one. Single visit root canals for molars. Molars. Morals. I mean, your
Moral.
morals could use a
Yeah,
root
yeah.
canal. I mean, let me tell you that. But anyway, so like single visit root canals for molars. Is it a miracle or just very good science?
No, it's absolutely very good. Science possible because of great tools and equipment and research. Multiple visits were a concept for so many years, right? But now rotary endodontics, disinfectant solutions, proper protocols, better imaging, all these things, better materials. The multiple visits, you used to use zinc oxide as a root canal sealer back in the day.
Yeah.
Then calcium hydroxide came in. Then now we're working with resin and bioceramics. So all of these things that have evolved, making single visits more possible. So I mean, you as a dentist, you have to be really good at it.
Sir, this reminds me, very recently I was having a podcast with somebody and he was mentioning that he once had a consultant who got their root canal done in some part of the world, I think somewhere in Somalia or somewhere, and when they had a look in the radiograph, there was nothing in the canals. They were empty. And then the surgeon was trying to explain that it's supposed to be radio opaque. You see that this is what a regular canal looks like, this is what a filled canal looks like. And the patient is like, oh no, I spent so much money on this, what do you mean it's not done? And then she calls up the dentist in some other part of the world and the dentist goes, exactly his words, this is chemical root canal, not visible on radiograph.
Wow, super.
So this reminds me a little bit of that as well. Anyway, so moving on. During procedure, music or no music?
During procedure, well, ambient music is always better.
Okay, but what does the ambient music do for the clinician? For patient, I'm sure it calms them down.
Yeah, so that's a very good question because this is something nobody thinks about. But we listen to our ambient music throughout the day. The patient's only going to listen to it for an hour. So the playlist has to be something that we can go throughout the day, non-stop, all the time for the rest of our lives.
So it shouldn't be birds chirping all the time.
I had over 100 ambient, instrumentals in my playlist. That has been reduced to about 30 now, and now nobody hates it. और उसके अंदर बहुत सारे changes हैं, बहुत ही relevant चीजें. People compliment it a lot. So, but I'm not too big about playing music for the patient because I feel is distracting.
Okay, perfect. Okay, this one is a little controversial, but what's the first thing you notice about someone's smile when you meet them at a party?
Oh, it has to be hygiene. I mean, whether they look clean or not. That's the.
Have you definitely become one of those dentists who, when are talking to somebody, are less looking into their eye and more on their
I have
face?
consciously tried not to be that because that's what everybody thinks we're going to do. Now, if you meet somebody, they're going to be like, stop looking at my teeth. But now, I mean, when I initially graduated, that we used to do that, but now we don't want to see teeth all the time, so we're fine.
Okay, next question. If somebody is completely fine with their malaligned teeth, would you still recommend them to get the orthodontic treatment done in order to increase their functionality?
Yeah, so you have to educate the patient. That's important. If somebody has malalignment does have hygiene issues.
Bilkul.
It's undeniable. As a doctor, you're supposed to tell them that these are the risks that are coming in. Then you have to tell them an alternative treatment, how it will become better and how it will affect their life. So, I mean, I will ask them to go through orthodontic treatment. If they still choose not to do it, then that's an informed decision, which is fine.
But you are going to, like you said, make them aware of the risks that are attached to not fixing the malalignment. That makes sense. I think educating the patient is important.
An informed decision is fine. I mean, they know that this will be fine, but they don't want to do it, then that's okay. But somebody who doesn't know, that it will happen
most of them don't know.
A lot of times it will happen that somebody's in your practice and, you're just talking about a procedure. They're like, हमें तो ये कभी किसी ने बताया ही नहीं, तो अब फिर बता देते, अब हमने बता दिया, अब आपकी मर्जी if you want to do it or not.
Okay. Next one. What is your first preference immediately after looking at an easy case of orthodontics, aligners or wired orthodontic treatment?
Aligners is unfortunately a problem, and it should be limited to very simple cases.
Okay.
Everything else has to be orthodontic treatment. There's a reason why you have extremely high relapse in aligners. I've had a discussion about this with anyone and everyone in depth, not here only, everywhere in the world. And ultimately, people who are promoting aligners will blame the patient for relapse because they're not wearing retainers, which I feel is wrong because essentially we know that aligners cannot do a lot of talking and it's mainly tipping. And that talking that a lot of doctors talk about is also patient dependent. So, I mean, if the patient is so compliant that they are able to use things the way that we want them to use them for 24 months or more.
Exactly.
It's almost close to impossible.
Very impossible.
To me, it is not right. And to me, I feel that you are doing I can't, to me it's a disservice if you know that you can treat it better, but you're still pushing on aligners, you just go with orthodontic treatment. It will not last more than 16 months or 18 months if it's done by an orthodontist, a proper orthodontist. So your treatment duration is 12 months to 18 months and you've done great orthodontic treatment. Or your treatment duration is 24 months to 36 months in aligners, and you've done average orthodontics,
Sahi.
which will relapse.
I think this is a very new and fresh take on this because
No, but this is a fact. You have to, if you speak to more orthodontists who understand orthodontics, the people will always say that, it's the same thing, it's this, that, but handling over the compliance of treatment affects the outcome by 50%. Not
50%,
these
that's
are
a
not
lot.
my numbers, these are research based numbers. Compliance of a patient
big
affects a
percentage.
50% of the outcome. So I mean, कितने पेशेंट्स हैं जिनको अलाइनर्स बना के दिए हुए वो नहीं पहनते, और उनकी आईपीआर हुई भी है, वो घूम रहे हैं दुनिया में, हो रहा है ना, डिससर्विस है.
फिर वही वाली बात है ना कि
पेशेंट
पेशेंट
सिलेक्शन
साइकी तो
नहीं, पेशेंट सिलेक्शन आप हर जगह नहीं, यू रॉन्ग. बट सही है, ऑर्थो में भी डिफिकल्टीज होती हैं, बट अल्टीमेटली 12 से 16 महीने हर बंदे निकाल लेता है अपनी ज़िंदगी में से. मैं सबको ये बोलता हूँ, आई मीन एटलीस्ट यू नो व्हेन इट्स गोइंग टू एंड. विद अलाइनर्स, आई डोंट नो इफ यू नो अबाउट अलाइनर लेटेंसी, because on paper the patient is on their 12th tray but the movement is up till the 7th. So there is a aligner latency of 5 trays movement that hasn't happened. How are you going to finish it? So then you're going to add on the time, add on aligners, there's more material, there's more time, the patient is not too happy with you, food is getting stuck in their IPR, oral hygiene is poor.
और वैसे भी ऑर्थो में काफी
I'm
पेशेंट्स
not, I did aligner, I've been doing aligners since 2010. So 16 years into it. And you only limit it to very simple cases, spacing, minor spacing, and minor relapse
Right.
of orthodontics.
Okay.
Other than that, if you think you're going to change somebody's life who has a lot of crowding, I feel it should not be done.
Okay, fair point. So the next one is the best advice you ever got from a mentor at Altamash, and I talk about Altamash because that's where you spent the most time.
Well, I've had Dr. Nabil was my mentor at Altamash. He was my endodontic mentor, and
Was he one of the HODs that invited you?
no. That was in Hamdard. That was
Okay,
Hamdard
yeah,
University.
sorry,
Oh, Dr. Nadeem and Dr. Nasrullah.
Right. So best piece of advice. Okay.
Dr. Nabil basically told me, basically he's the one who taught me the importance of following bookish procedures and
Okay.
excelling at your speed at it.
ठीक है.
You see, when you skip procedures, so you're doing average work, है ना? And the outcome is not scientifically based.
सही.
But if you become so fast at following the steps, then you have a great outcome. So he basically opened that. He would be so strict and critical about
Time.
skipping steps and all that to me it was, I mean, nobody was like that. So I was like, okay.
But to have a strict mentor in your initial years who's not, it's so important because that's when you're starting to develop the sense of, how are things supposed to be done. It's important to have somebody like that as opposed to somebody who's very nonchalant about it. कि देख लो, कर लो.
हाँ.
So yeah.
No, finding a mentor is extremely important. And you can't just, go like, ये मेरा mentor बनेंगे. Mentor भी आपको खुद ही ढूंढता है और आप भी खुद ही पहुंच जाते हैं अपने mentor के पास. लेकिन उसके लिए आपको ओपन होना पड़ता है ना. हर चीज़ में ट्रांजैक्शनल इंटरेक्शन नहीं हो सकती कि मैं यहाँ आऊँगा मैं क्या सीखूंगा, ये नहीं हो सकता.
सही.
आप बस कहीं जा रहे हैं, आपको लग रहा है कि यहाँ आपको सीखने को मिलेगा, स्पेंड सम टाइम देयर, यू विल डेफिनेटली पिक अप अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. बट जस्ट सेइंग कि मैं आ जाऊँगा तो आज मुझे रूट कैनाल देखने को मिलेगी या नहीं मिलेगी, या मैं इमीडिएट इम्प्लांट प्लेसमेंट करूँगा तो आज मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा, दैट शुड नॉट बी वेरी ट्रांजैक्शनल. डिस्कस केसेस and you will always find something to learn from it.
Fair enough. Last one. What was the plan B for career if not dentistry?
Oh, I just recently got asked this question also. I thought would have been a rocking singer also in my life had I not become a dentist.
I would assume a biker or
No, a biker, a proper singer. I had a great band. We were launched in India. We had a...
Can I have the name of the brand for a friend?
So that was all that. But then we... Inkashaf tha uska naam. We were launched by Times Music International. We were quite a thing.
You were launched by?
Times Music International.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big record label. And this is in 2010, 11. Yeah,
are we expecting a comeback?
We used to do concerts and everything. Life was great that way. But other than that, I probably would have been a guy in marketing if I was not a dentist.
So, you know, whenever we look you up on the internet, because we have to add your picture to one of the posters, and you're not somebody that gives a very easy reply over WhatsApp for understandable
Yeah.
reasons. So, we're like, Dr. Durrani ki picture hum Google se dhoond lete, but then there is a drastic difference between the pictures from the days when you must have been in college versus now.
Yes.
And my team used to send me those pictures, ke kaun si wali dali hai? And I was like, the one with the suit, the one with the suit.
Yeah.
So,
So I mean, because back in the day when we were doing music, so of course, music is more entertainment. It will be more visible online. So I had to physically email people to take that off so that my dentistry profile could come up. This was conscious work that was done. And now, of course, the dental profile is there. So that's
yeah, absolutely.
Acha. One thing which is something that I found very interesting was that when I was graduating, you cannot be a good singer and a good dentist. Multi-talents were not appreciated back in the day. So we could, अगर मैं गाना अच्छा गाता तो मैं डॉक्टर अच्छा नहीं था, और अगर मैं डॉक्टर अच्छा हूँ तो मेरी आवाज़ अच्छी नहीं होगी. But in 2026, the more things I do, wow, you know, multi-talents is like, wow, that's amazing. So I mean, if I can be a singer and a dentist and a biker and a traveler and this, that. So now all of these things are adding to my personality.
Dr. Shoaib, do you believe in the phrase jack of all trades, master of none? Or is that not true?
It's a very good question. But I think a master of all, you can't be a jack of all trades. You should be master of one. Yeah.
Right. Yes. But you can have your feet here and there and a few.
Of course, you can do a lot of things. But you should be a master of one. That's
so you would say dentistry is the master of
one. For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Again, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Shoaib. It was wonderful talking to you. Always a refreshing experience speaking to somebody who can speak like a fresh graduate while not being a fresh graduate. I think that's a quality I hope you never lose. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Very nice. I must say that you are a very good host and you conducted the podcast really well.
It takes two to tango, We had a very good guest.
Yeah.
So this was our time with Dr. Shoaib Durrani. He's an excellent clinician and is readily available for any help. He's also somebody who loves mentoring. So if you'd like to drop a CV or two, maybe consider doing that. Until then, see you in the next episode. Allah Hafiz.